Hey everybody, it's Dr. Christine. Welcome to Change Your Mind, Change Your Life. We're continuing to talk about how you can eliminate chronic pain and chronic symptoms, pain and symptoms that are the result of neuroplasticity. We're going to talk about that in today's video, or neural circuit loop, mind-body symptoms. Some people in the industry call it TMS, or tension myositis syndrome. You can think of it as too much stress because this is a stress disorder or stress dysregulation. All right, today we're going to talk about neuroplasticity. And what that means is it's your nervous system's ability to learn and adapt and shift and change. I don't think I've ever done this before, and it's dawning on me from my past experience as a chiropractor. Sometimes when I say nervous system, people don't always understand what that means. So when I say nervous system, I don't mean nervousness like a personality trait, like, oh, I'm so nervous, I have this big test coming up. The nervous system, when we're talking about that in a clinical sense, we're talking about the brain, the spinal cord that travels down your spine, and the nerves that branch off the spinal cord like roots or branches off of a tree and go to every part of your body. The parts that you think about, the parts that you don't think about. So your body, your brain consciously tells your body to do certain things, other things your body does all on your own, unaware of your conscious thought. Okay, so that's what I mean when I'm talking about your nervous system. It's how your brain and all your nerves are functioning. Thankfully, we are given the gift of neuroplasticity. We wouldn't survive without it. That's how your brain and body as an organism learns to survive and thrive and heal and function in this world and in society. So through neuroplasticity, messages come in, the brain interprets it, messages go out, things happen in our body as a result of that. New messages, new feedback comes up into your brain takes that feedback, makes calculations, sends new messages down to the body, and it's constantly shifting, changing, learning. What are some examples of neuroplasticity? So, well, there's a saying, nerves that fire together wire together. So some things can over time become automatic. Think about the Pavlov's dog experiment. Pavlov shined a light just before he would offer food to the dogs, and the dogs began to associate the shining of the light with the food. Now, when a dog knows it's about to eat, its mouth starts to produce saliva, so it didn't take long to reach a point where when the light came on, the dog produced saliva, even in the absence of food. That's neuroplasticity. The brain learned to associate the light with food. It saw the light, it produced the saliva to get ready for the food, even if the food didn't show up. That's a very easy way to remember neuroplasticity. Now, chronic pain is the result of neuroplasticity. Whether or not something initially happened that triggered your first pain or your first symptoms, say in your stomach or wherever it is that you're feeling your symptoms, and then your brain began to make calculations and assumptions about that pain. So the brain began to make assumptions like, if you bend over, it's going to hurt. If you exert yourself, it's going to hurt. If you eat that food, it's going to upset your stomach. If you experience a certain type of motion, it's going to make you feel sick. And it can also work the other way. If you don't do these stretching exercises, the symptoms will come back. If you don't take special remedies for your stomach, like drink a certain tea or put a hot water bottle on your tummy, your symptoms will come back. So your brain has made all these calculations, and many of them are faulty. Many of them are not true, are not accurate. So clearly, when we touch a hot stove, your brain says, don't ever do that again. That's a good example of neuroplasticity and your brain making assumptions, because it's going to actually keep you out of danger. But when we're talking about things that truly aren't dangerous, like bending over or turning your neck or getting out of a chair or riding in a car or eating food that has a little bit of milk in it. These things don't have inherent danger in them, but the brain has begun to make associations and associated these things with danger. Neuroplasticity has hardwired it in, and that is why you can get symptoms in the absence of an actual problem, actual damage to the physical body. Think about driving down a muddy road. So it was a muddy season, people were driving down the road, it created deep ruts in the road. The weather dries up, the mud begins to dry. Now you've got to drive down this road with big ruts in it. It is not easy to get your tires out of the rut. You've got to work really hard to steer your tires out of that groove, out of that rut. And even if you get out of it, it's very easy for the wheel to slip back into the rut. Am I right? So this is what happens with neuroplasticity. It's not that you can't rewire your brain, you can't steer away from that assumption, but for a little while, until a correction is made, you're going to keep slipping into those old grooves, slipping into those old ruts. And that's why I tell you why repetition and consistency is so important in this process, because you're not going to just steer out of that rut once, let go of the wheel, and assume everything is fine. Of course not. You're going to go right back into the rut. But it's the consistency, it's the daily practice, it's the repetition, and it's the sticking with it with certainty that is going to not only get you out of the rut, but create a new groove along the lines of health, wellness, and absence of pain as you just go about living your normal, healthy, happy life. So we covered a little bit of neuroplasticity today. Again, so important. It is neuroplasticity that caused your chronic pain, caused your chronic symptoms. The only thing that is going to truly resolve the problem is neuroplasticity, new neural circuits. It doesn't, pain medication might give you temporary relief. Exercises might give you temporary relief. Surgery might give you temporary relief. The chiropractor, the massage therapist, the acupuncturist, whatever it is that you have tried, I'm sure you've already learned, yes, they can give some temporary relief, but it is not a permanent fix. That is because the only thing that is the true fix to neuroplastic pain and neuroplastic symptoms is rewiring. Neuroplasticity fixes neuroplastic problems. All right, my friends, thank you for being here. That's exactly what you're doing here. You're rewiring your brain to put an end to your own chronic pain and chronic symptoms. I'm so proud of you for doing that, and I know that you can do it. I'll see you in a couple days on the next video. Bye-bye.